This is going to be a short video today. We're going to be taking a quick look at my planer sled that I built for my Grizzly Planer. I want to show you guys something I built last week, and I call this a tool. Some people would probably call it a jig, but I think it's a little bit more than a jig because of what it will do. It's also pretty cheap to build. I don't have much money in this at all. About, gosh, probably $80 probably. And with the results that you get from it, that money comes back to you pretty fast. So this is a planer sled. It's 20 inches wide, which is the width of my planer. I run a Grizzly 20-inch spiral head planer here at the sawmill. It's 5 horsepower. Really good planer. So one thing you got to figure out with the 20-inch planer is how to get boards to go through it and come out flat that haven't been through a joiner. I've got a 6-inch joiner, so 20-inch boards will not fit on that thing. And I can use hand planes, but that takes time. I enjoy using hand planes, but sometimes you just got to get the work done and get going. And that's where this comes into play. By clamping the wood down, and we'll do a piece of white oak here in just a second and I'll show you what I'm talking about, but by clamping wood to it and putting some wedges on it so it doesn't move or rock back and forth, it references off this MDF here on the bottom. This is I think 3/4 of an inch MDF, got at Home Depot, had to cut it down to the 20 inches because it comes in 48 inches on the width. But it's pretty rigid, there's no flats in it, and it's perfectly flat. That's what you want to reference off the bottom of the planer. So if you send a board through the planer and it's not been, flattened on one side, it's going to mimic what's on the underside of it. It's not going to come out flat. You can skip plane it to clean it up, but it's not going to be flat, nowhere near it. All this clamp needs to do is hold the wood on here. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. It's tilted just a little, probably a 32nd of an inch because it has a groove on the bottom. That doesn't matter. The only thing you want to make sure you do is put the wood on here tight enough with enough shims and with the clamping force so it doesn't move. There's all kinds of different planer sled designs out there. I think this one might be one of the better ones. I got off an article on fine woodworking. Can't remember what a magazine it was in, but I just pretty much Googled planer sleds and this one came up. And there's a lot of different ones out there, but this one has the clamp built into it. It really makes it a lot more secure than the other ones. You don't have to screw your wood down or use hot glue or nothing like that. So let me show you guys how I built this thing. It was really simple. I built it in probably 15 minutes. And it's not finished yet. And I'll show you what I mean when we start clamping some white oak on here. So the length of board that I could do on this one is 43 inches. So anything 43 inches or less I can run through on this planer sled and get a nice flat surface. And once you're done with this tool, you get a flat surface on your board, you just take it off the clamps and put this back on the wall and flip your board over and run it through the planer, then you have a perfectly dimensioned thickness board. Now if you're wondering how I'm going to do longer boards, I'm going to build me an 8-footer here in a few weeks. They make longer clamps on Amazon. I think there's one that's 100 inches on there for about double the price. So I'll probably order that sometime this week so I can do longer boards if I want to. So the only thing you have to do to assemble something like this is put your clamp on here, get it as flat as possible, drill about 3 holes for screws. I have a screw here at the end, on this end, and also down here toward the middle, and mount this to the MDF and you're done. It's pretty simple. Got on here really straight. The screw doesn't go all the way through the MDF. You don't want to do that because you don't want to scratch your planer bed when it goes inside of it. It's pretty stout. It's not going anywhere. You can just move your clamp up and down here whenever you put your board on to set it in place. You also are going to put some shims here on the side, and I'll show you that in just a second. For our test piece today, I got a nice piece of, let me move my clamp out of the way, quarter sawn white oak. This came out of the kiln just a few weeks ago. Move that clamp down a little bit further. I also checked the moisture content on this just a few minutes ago and it's 8%. So that's pretty good. Okay, so you got it in here, you got it in the clamps, and you can do any board as long as it's not wider than 20 inches or as wide as your planer. guess that's pretty obvious, but I just wanted to clarify on that. You don't want to stick nothing in here that's going to be wider than the base of this right here. So you bring in your top on the clamp and shove it in there as tight as you can get it. And here's a modification I had to make. It had a handle that came out right here, and this is plastic. It was about 5 inches long, and it stuck up above the stock whenever you clamped it. So I had to cut that off with a hat saw, because I didn't want to send this through here with this handle sticking up. That's really going to mess up your planer. So after you do that, you just pull this up, and if it's a tight fit, you can use channel locks, but that gets it in there. You just pop it right up and clamps it in. I know what you're probably wondering, it looks a little shaky in there, it's not secure enough. Well, you're exactly right. And I'm not finished this sled yet. The only thing I need to do is put 2 more strips of MDF on both sides of the clamp. That way I can put my wedges in there and it will keep it secure. But like I said, I built this last week. I've used it about 5 times. It works really well. I'm not going to change anything on it, so I'll probably go ahead and mount those boards down sometime today or tomorrow. But until then, I got some cutoff pieces that I've been using that works just as good. Nice flat board right there. Some good looking white oak.